watching.
Subscribe.
Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker Episode 9 is out in cinemas now, and Cineworld Cinemas, who have very kindly sponsored this video here on ScreenStalker, sent me and Simon to go see it. I'm Ollie Davis, by the way. We would have seen it anyway, and you can go and see it too in the cinema, which is the best place to enjoy a huge blockbuster release by clicking the link in the video description below to get your tickets. Also press the thumbs up button. Also give us a subscribe. And also, let's open the review, not with our words, but the thoughts of Forbes writer Scott Mendelsohn.
He says, The Rise of Skywalker is a bad movie and a miserable finale that serves no purpose other to reassure adult fans of the original Star Wars that they are still the chosen ones of the pop culture galaxy.
You hear that? That's confirmation. We are the chosen ones. Yeah! We both loved it.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Really liked it. I do disagree with his thoughts there that it's a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie. But yeah, it does satisfy and tick all those boxes of fans of Star Wars.
Yes. We'll put his words into context. If you think the measure of a Star Wars movie's goodness or not is based on whether it's The Last Jedi or not, then this was a bad movie.
Yeah,
because it's not The Last Jedi.
We're both of the same opinion where it took interesting choices, but they're just not choices we enjoyed. We won't go into spoilers, don't worry, this is a spoiler-free zone. But you actually made a really interesting point before we started, that there is a universe out there where The Rise of Skywalker is the second movie.
Yeah.
And then there's another movie that you could have made off the back of this one.
Yeah, and it would take one twist to do that. Yeah, I don't know whether this way would have ended up either way, or whether this was the movie Abrams would have made instead of The Last Jedi. I don't know. It's very complicated with Star Wars.
I think Abrams is a producer who's very comfortable with starting something off and stepping back from it. But then I think Disney have asked him to come back in. Last Jedi was so divisive amongst a lot of people, and I personally believe one of the twists. There's a surprising amount of twists in this film.
Yeah,
for something that is essentially quite rote anyway. Just the sort of Star Wars mythology and people being relatives of everyone. So that is done well, but I don't think that was Johnson's vision when he wrote The Last Jedi.
No.
I think it's hard to go too much into spoilers, but there is an argument that's made Skywalker a better movie because they really doubled down on the Kylo Ren-Rey relationship, and that is every scene they're in together is fire.
Yeah, really good. Both performances are incredible. Even with some, at moments, some slightly chunky dialogue that I think in the hands of lesser actors would perhaps seem cheesy, but also it's Star Wars. I don't know why everyone's so desperate for it to be this auteur comment on the state of fandom. Like, it's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it when it does Star Wars things, and I like it when it veers off. It plays with all the form without ever venturing too far to break it. Which, that's... I'm sure there are people out there, as like Scott Mendelsohn, who hate the fact that it settles into a groove. But I think the stuff it explores between Rey and Kylo is really, really interesting, and their chemistry is incredible.
Well, that's it. There's a lot of stuff under the layers of their relationship that, on the top surface, looks really simple. Yeah, it's a Star Wars movie. It's a throwaway piece of popcorn blockbuster cinema. But if you do go into that, there is, and it's kind of a meta-commentary on the franchise itself. These characters are crushed by their forebearers, and they're wrestling with a legacy. And how are they going to do that? Do they work together? Do they rip each other apart? There's this looming ghost figure in Emperor Palpatine, who, by the way, is the scariest he's ever been.
Yeah.
I found him more scary as a 30-year-old male, or adult, the gender doesn't matter, than I did as a sort of 8-year-old kid.
There was a little bit disappointed that we've come back all the way to Palpatine just to have something for them to fight against. But at the same time, like you said, he's so over the top evil now in a way that is so galaxy defining that I think it actually works.
It's because I think the Emperor becomes is boiled down to an essence. Like, he is the Sith Force.
Yeah.
And what they kind of do with it is that he is Snoke. He's all these other things that have come before him. It's always been Palpatine. And that makes it a bit easier to swallow that they have essentially just gone, oh, we're going to have to lean back on nostalgia again.
Yeah.
But I thought they wrote it in very well and smartly. And just it's not a spoiler to say that a lot of the plot and the final sequence is based around what is the Sith planet. You always hear about. I'm fascinated by Star Wars lore, the old times and the Jedi Knights and the temples, and just the idea of there being a Sith temple, a Sith planet, and to be able to go into that place and see the huge statues of these old Sith lords from millennia ago. I was lapping it up.
Yeah, it was very, very cool, and also, with Palpatine specifically, that is where it all began. You go right back to episode 1. It starts with him, and you see over the course, his physical transformation, into what he then became in the middle 3 films. And now we're seeing, it does also make sense.
Yeah. One of the best scenes, I think, is a lightsaber fight on a sort of wavy place. I won't say where, because that's a bit of a spoiler, but there's lots of waves and there's no score. In what is probably one of my main criticisms, a very score-heavy movie, I thought the music became overbearing at points. But this is just the waves, whoosh, whoosh, which plays on like Daisy Ridley's breath all the time when she's going into that focused state of Jedi. And it's just them fighting. And there's this beautiful shot of a wave going over the top of them, but you just see this red lightsaber start to come through the mist. Oh.
Which is also I thought really reminiscent of the shot of Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, where he comes through the doorway. And I loved all that stuff. Like, I think, whereas The Force Awakens, you go back to the other Abrams one, was really in your face with its references. To make referencing consequential is an error, but whereas I think actually didn't do that, and I thought it was a really smart choice by Abrams to do that.
And for what was a 2-hour, 20-minute movie?
It is long.
I think of the new trilogy. What do they call the new trilogy? This is the sequel trilogy?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Of all the 3 films, I know the Forbes review said this is the worst Star Wars movie ever. Of these 3 films, I think it is the most focused.
Yes.
Because there is The Force Awakens, that whole middle part for me is very saggy. The stuff when they're chasing the monster on Han Solo's ship, the whole reason Han Solo doesn't have his ship is really, it's rubbish and lazy.
Yeah.
Last Jedi had, for me, a lot of problems. There's nothing bad about it.
No.
Isn't that what we all want?
Yeah.
I don't know what rating I'll give it. Probably like a 4, maybe a high 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking.
Yeah, I think so. And
but I don't want that to sound like I'm damning it with faint praise. Like, I really enjoyed it. I was never as into the characters as the film assumed I was.
Yeah, I think what's happened. I think comparing Endgame and this is that's the comparison to make. And I think that the difference between them ultimately actually comes down to the previous movies, which is there was just a lot more coherent groundwork done to make sure that movie made sense. And with this, with only 3 movies as opposed to a million over the course of a decade, whatever, with just 3 movies, they just haven't created enough of a singular coherent vision for what this element of Star Wars is going to be.
Yeah, and it comes down to the characters. They're like Poe, Finn, and Rey. That the film keeps on saying, look, they just love being together. They're united again. And I'm pretty sure this is right. Poe doesn't even meet Rey on screen, at least, until midway through The Last Jedi.
Well, this is a shame that you sort of, and I do the same, lump Poe, Finn, and Rey together, and I kind of see Kylo Ren as this separate entity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think his arc.
Oh.
Now it's completed. That is one character that has a full, complete, very satisfactory arc, and I think it's a shame that the other characters didn't quite get that. Finn and Poe have both had sort of aborted. Basically they've divided sort of Han Solo into 2 characters. neither of which, there's a lot of Han Solos in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to sort of ascertain which one's supposed to be, the guy.
But as great as Kylo Ren's arc is, and I think for the franchise overall, going back to the first movies, I think that's the best character and journey in the whole franchise. But Rey as well. This is a really good movie. The only bad parts is that it had to ignore Last Jedi in so many bits, which makes it a bit of an awkward viewing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you've obviously changed plans here.
Yeah.
And the fact that some of the character relationships weren't properly established through Force Awakens and Last Jedi. But overall, it's a romp.
Yeah, it's great.
You can go and see for yourself by clicking the link in the video description below to get your tickets to go and see Star Wars Rise of Skywalker from Cineworld Cinemas. It's the best place to watch a movie.
Yes, that's where we went.
Yeah. And please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome ScreenStalker things.
Yeah.
And we went into WrestleTalk mode
Really?
there. And
Careful.
remember, we're watching.